see you grin. I'm such a happy individual the moment that you speak. I want to go play hide and seek. I want to go and bounce the moon just like a toy balloon. Hi everybody, I'm Charles Serrano. Welcome to another exciting day of ESL. Today we're going to be talking about conditionals. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, conditionals. They cause a lot of people problems sometimes. They don't use the right grammar. We often hear even Americans say, "Hey teacher, if I was you, I would become an actor." Oh, was, Johnny. It's not was, it's were. Example, teacher, if I were you, I would become an actor. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Conditionals. Well, there are two types of conditionals. The first one, the real conditional. And the second one, the unreal conditional. Let's take a look at examples of the real conditional. A student asks me, a very lovely young lady, says, "Teacher, what do you normally do on weekends?" And then I tell her, well, if I have extra money, I take my wife, yes, only my wife, to the movies. So if I have extra money, I take my wife to the movies. And I'm sorry, Maria Elena, only my wife. Now that's a real conditional. There's another type of real conditional too. It's called a future real conditional. Example, teacher, what are you going to be doing this weekend? I don't have anything to do. And that's when I say, well, Maria Elena, if I have extra money this weekend, I'm going to take my wife to the movies. Now that's called a future real conditional. There are two real conditionals. There is the present real and the future real. So once again, let's repeat those. If I have extra money, in general, I take my wife and only my wife to the movies. The future real, if I have extra money this coming weekend, or if I have extra money after I pay my bills, I'm going to take my wife and only my wife to the movies. These are two real conditionals. Now let's talk about the unreal. For something to be unreal, for you to imagine something that's not real, fantasy, hypothetical, what possible tenses can we imagine? Well, can I imagine being president of the United States now? Oh, sure I can. So we have present unreal. Can I imagine myself being president yesterday? Oh, sure, I can do that too. And what about imagining being president sometime in the future? I can do that too. So there are three unreal, hypothetical, fictional, fantasy conditionals. Fantasy, like me and Penelope Cruz. That's fantasy, and it'll only be a fantasy. Well, let's take a look at these three unreal conditionals. Teacher, what do you do if you have extra money? Well, I don't have extra money. My wife controls my budget. But if I had extra money, that's in the past tense. You see that? I don't have extra money. I don't have extra money. But if I had, past tense, extra money, I would take my wife to the movies. Or I could take my wife to the movies. Or I might take my wife to the movies. I call that the Titanic rule. Now, what does that mean? Well, think about this for a moment. I said, I would or could or might take my wife to the movies. You see the W, would, C is could, and M is might? I call that the Titanic rule because like when the Titanic was going down, who are the ones that can get into the little boats? You know, the little boats and just roll away? Well, the women are first. That's W. The children are second. That's letter C. And the men might, if there's space, might get into the little rowboats and roll away. So that's the modals would, could, and might in the reality clause. I mean, in the clause that represents the result, in other words. So once again, if I had extra money, I would take my wife, I could take my wife, or I might take my wife to the movies. Now, that is the present unreal. Let's get rid of that one for now. Bye. Next one. Teacher, for past unreal. What did you do last night? What would you do? What would you have done last night? Yeah, that's it. What would you do? What would you have done last night if you had extra money? Well, I didn't have extra money. I didn't have extra money. But if I had extra money, if I had extra money, I would have or could have or might have taken my wife to the movies. But I didn't have extra money, so that's why I didn't do that. That's called a past unreal conditional. Let's put that one to the side for a moment. Bye. What about for the future? Teacher, what are you going to do this weekend? What are you going to do this weekend? Well, I don't have extra money this weekend. I just don't. But if I had extra money this coming weekend, future. If I had extra money this coming weekend, well, I would take my wife, or I could take my wife, or I might take my wife to the movies, except she doesn't like Marvel movies, and I really want to see Infinity War, but not with my wife, no way. Well, that's a future unreal conditional. These are the 3 unreal conditionals. So let's review. We have 2 real conditionals, present and future real, and 3 unreal, no limit to fantasy. Present unreal, past unreal, and future unreal. See how easy it is? Just come back to our next segment and we'll go deeper into the unreal conditionals. Very practical grammar. Once again, my name is Charles Serrano, and this was ESL, Having Fun. Bye now.